Hi, this is Debbie from stampwithdeb.com, and I am doing a project today that I wanted to share with you. It's the Retriform technique. It's a different technique. I know that I've used this before with some of my clubs, but I'm doing some projects for my upline today, and so I just thought this would be a great time to make a video to show you how to do this technique. So I'm going to turn you down to my table and we'll get started. Let's move it in a little bit more. I have a tendency to work at the bottom of my screen, so I'm trying not to do that. I'm trying to get you so that you can see the bottom of my table so that you'll be able to see where I am working. I have a horrible time with this because I do work right in front of me instead of out. Okay, so these are the stamp sets that I am going to be using today, and it's Autumn Goodness, and I'm going to use this Golden Leaves Chilly Air Autumn Beauty Everywhere greeting right here, and I'm going to use Forever Fern, which is one of my favorites, and I'll be using all of these leaves, all of the different leaves, and then I'm going to use Autumn Greetings from Autumn Greetings. So those are the three stamp sets that I'm using today. So let's get started. All right, so first of all, I have a piece of Whisper white cardstock that is 3 3/4 by 5. And I'm going to take my paper trimmer and I'm going to use it as a guide. So I'm going to put this in here with the 5-inch side going down, the 3 3/4 across the top, and I'm going to put it over to 1 inch. I'm going to draw a line at 1 inch all the way across. The nice thing is you won't have to erase these lines. It's with pencil. And then I'm going to draw a line at 1 3/8, just right there, and 1 3/8. Okay, then I'm going to come back and turn it so I have my 5-inch side at the top. And I'm going to draw a line at 1 5/8, and I'm just going to draw it to the 1-inch line over here. So my 1-inch line, my 1-inch section is not going to get drawn on. Okay, so I'm going to go from there to there. Then I'm going to turn it around the other direction, and I'm going to go 1 5/8 again, and I'm going to draw from the 1-inch line. Oops, from the 1-inch line down. I'm going to have to erase that, huh? Okay, let's just erase that. We don't want it in there. Okay, then we can put this paper cutter aside. Okay, you guys probably want to see what I'm making, don't you? Okay, this is a card that I'm making. Let me take it out of the plastic. I always put them in plastic to keep them from getting ink on them anywhere else. But this is the card that I'll be making. And I love it. It's beautiful. I feel like it needs something else, but I don't know what it needs. And it's really focusing on the background. So that's what I'm going to show you how I made it. Okay, I'm going to pull out my Stamparatus because this is a good one for doing this. The Autumn Greetings is a very fine stamp. The lettering is very fine on it, and so I want to be sure that I get a good stamping on it. And if I do it with a block, I don't always put even pressure. So I'm going to line this up in here, staying in my 1-inch section, and then I'm going to ink it up, and I'm inking it with Mossy Meadow. And this way I will get even pressure on it. And if it didn't come out right, then I could just do it again. But it came out beautiful. Okay, let's put our Stamparatus away. And I don't know if you noticed, but I have a silicone mat in there that I use when I use the rubber stamps. When I use our clear block stamps, I use a silicone mat in my Stamparatus. It just gives me a better stamping, and so that's why it's there. It gives a softer place for it to stamp, so this greeting came out gorgeous. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to show you is, this is a roll of Post-it note tape. You can buy it at any stationery store. And I am going to use Post-it notes as well, but because this whole section needs to be taped off, I would prefer to use this. And it gives me a nice wide area, so if my stamp goes over, then I don't have to worry about it stamping on my card where I don't want it. So I'm just going to tape along those two lines, those first two lines, the two lines going portrait, up and down. And we're going to start working in the center. So I do have some Post-it notes here that I will be using as well. So this is going to be my first space, rectangle. And I am going to stamp with Cajun Craze. And I'm just going to stamp up in that first corner. Now, when you do this, you want to make sure that you put enough pressure, because you can see my stamp is going to go right here. Nothing's going to be here or here. But right along this edge is where I want to put the extra pressure. To be sure that it gets stamped in there and I don't have a big gap, and that came out great. Then while I have this on, I'm going to go ahead and sponge around the edges. I am using a brush that I bought on Amazon. These are brushes that I bought on Amazon, and I really like them because it gives me a good control of these. But you could do this with a dauber or with a sponge, either one. So I'm just going to leave some white in the center, and I'm just going around in a circular motion. Okay, that one's done. Now we're going to pull this up, and I'm going to set this right over top of that. And I'm going to add another one to the bottom here. Now remember, these two are already covered, which is really nice. I did get a little bit up on that area. Okay, that won't show though. Okay, so the next one that I'm going to stamp is going to be the large leaf, and I'm going to stamp it in Mossy Meadow. And I'm going to stamp it in this direction. So once again, I want to press down really good over here and make sure that I get a good image over there. And then I'm going to sponge that one with the Mossy Meadow. Ooh, got a big blob there. So that's the only problem that you have to watch for. That's why I hit on here first and then move on. So the blob is on both a big ink spot. So you want to watch for those and make sure you hit that paper first with the whole sponge. So I got part on and part off. It's okay. It will look fine. It will look beautiful. Just gives a little bit more dimension. Okay, then I'm going to move that, turn that, take that off, turn it around, put it up here. And my last one on the bottom here is going to be with gray granite. And I'm going to stamp the two little leaves. So I'm going to do the little leaves once and again. Once again, pressing down hard on that area to make sure that it gets all the way in. And then I'm going to sponge with my gray granite. Be really careful about using a sponge and using your colors together, because they will end up blending. Be real careful. Don't grab your Mossy Meadow when you want your gray granite. It'll make a big difference. So you want to be careful with that. I'm getting a little bit of green off of this paper, so that's another thing you want to watch for, is picking up the color off of that paper. So I'm just going to flip that around and see if I can pick up some more granite. Okay. All right. So we have the first row done. Now we're going to remove our Post-it tape. See how I got a little bit of pink over here? Okay, you don't want that. And my green is really dark there. It's okay. Those are things to watch for and to learn from, right? Okay, so then I'm going to just put this tape down on this edge. And this tape is reusable, but it will come to a point where it starts curling on you and won't do it anymore. Okay, so now I'm going to use the greeting that came from Autumn Goodness and stamp that up here in my top corner. And it's not going to fit all the way on, probably. Of course, that one did, because I said that. So, if it didn't, it's okay. Oops, we need a Post-it note down here. And you know what? It's better if you change your Post-it note every time. That way you won't end up with a that red or the green in this, especially in this color. So I still have some red over here, pink, and I just covered it up by just going a little darker. Okay, alrighty. Then we're going to take that, turn it around, and we're going to move down to the next one. And that one is going to be Cajun Craze. And I'm going to come down here and stamp that, and then I'm going to cover the next one. That Post-it note is not sticking, so he's going to find a new home. Okay, so let's get one that will stick, because you want them to stick or else they will, it won't sponge right. Okay, so again, let's pull that over here, put the green up there. Okay, let's get a little darker over here. Okay, the last one to stamp is going to go right there. And it is going to be my favorite leaf out of the whole set. This is just one that I just love, and I don't know, I can't tell you why, but it just always stamps beautifully. Now watch it mess up. It's beautiful. It's just such a beautiful leaf. That's what it is. Okay, and we're just gonna, whoops, caught that one again, didn't I? Let's see if I can blend it out a little bit. It's not too bad. Probably the Mossy Meadow is the one that I do that with the most. And I think it's just because it's so dark. Okay. Let's pull that off, and let's pull this off. Look at that, it's gorgeous. And this one we're going to pull off and we're going to hang on to, because I'm going to turn this back over this way, and I'm going to tape this right along this edge, and I'm going to take the granite gray. Where's my sponge for my granite gray? Right here. And I'm just going to give this a little bit of granite gray on the edges. I want to bring it. You want to be careful doing that, because if you bring it, you could pull the green off of there if you have a lot of green on your tape. So watch which tape you use here. Usually this one is pretty good, because the other tape you've moved over and used it a lot. So there is our background. Beautiful. Okay, so let's get this card together now. So I'm going to take some baker's twine, linen thread, baker's twine. Let me close these pads up before I put my hand in them. I've been known to do that, and then wipe it on my clothing. Okay, so we're going to take some baker's twine, linen thread. Now I got myself confused, didn't I? Okay, and I'm just going to take, and I want 2 strands of this to go on the back. Cut that in half. So I'm going to wrap this around and just tape it on the back. Trim that off. Okay, and then I'm going to attach this to, I'm going to move these stamps so that I don't end up with ink on my white. I'm going to attach this to a piece of Mossy Meadow, just one. And I want to use Stamp and Seal if I have it laying here. I do. Okay. Okay, Stamp and Seal is tricky. It has, obviously I didn't end it right last time, so what I do is I take my silicone mat and just run it a little bit, just enough to get it started, and then it works great. I really like the Stamp and Seal. Do you know you can remove it? It is removable right at the beginning. It may stick really good later, but at the beginning it is very removable. Huff on it a little bit and you have got it off. So, okay. I need a bow. So I'm just going to take my linen thread here and just tie a bow for this card. And we'll attach that with a glue dot. And there we are. All right, and then I have a Whisper White card base that I'm going to be adhering this to. And there we are. Very pretty and very simple. I want to put some bling on it, but I'm not sure what bling to put on it. So for now, that's where it's going to stay. Thanks for joining me. If there's anything that you need to order, please get in touch with me. I am shooting for a $10,000 quarter this quarter. It's the last quarter we can do this with Stampin' Up! And receive a bonus. So I am really trying to reach that goal, and I am a couple thousand away still. So I appreciate your order and getting me there. If there's any questions you have or anything that I can do to help you out, please don't hesitate to ask and contact me. You can reach me through stampwithdeb.com or stampdebcn@comcast.net. Or go to my blog, and there you can find me at stampwithdeb.com. Thank you. I'm glad you joined me today. Bye-bye.